All right, we are back with a fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. So last night we did a Facebook Live in lieu of this video with the snow that was ongoing last evening. Things worked out pretty much as expected with our storm. We'll start with a little review of the storm. I took a time-lapse video today starting at 1 a.m. Now, the roads were really tough last night. Of course, major accident on I-76. One of my coworkers here lives in the Akron area. It took him like 4 hours to get home. Last night he leaves at 11. Didn't get home till like 3. And we had slick roads, of course, locally as well. This time-lapse video starts at 1 a.m. And as I roll this forward, the snow starts to let up. The road crews have a chance to catch up. And then as we get into the daylight hours, things were pretty much all clear, at least on the major roads. Also interesting to watch the plows with the parking lot, clearing the parking lots over here at the Southern Park Mall. That's kind of fun to watch as well. I'll let this roll one more time. Again, worst part of the night last night was late evening into the first couple of hours of Thursday, from midnight to, say, 3. After that, conditions did start to improve, and that sun today was fairly ineffective in terms of the temperature, but what it did do was help to melt some of the snow and turn it into meltwater and slush, and that's something we'll have to watch out for tonight. Standing water refreezing, because it's awfully cold out there, and also slushy areas in parking lots especially, and on sidewalks, but even some of the roadways and driveways and your sidewalks near your house can really get slick overnight tonight. We've got a good snowpack now on the ground. Our forecast was for 4 to 6 inches for most of the region, and that's exactly what we got. A few exceptions, but for the most part, a lot of places were between 4 and 6, so this is the snowpack on the ground. These deeper blues, it's generally 4 to 6. And that encompasses most of our viewing area. And while the snow is going to slowly melt over the next few days, it's not going to melt in a big hurry because it's still going to be pretty cold. The snowfall reports called into the National Weather Service looking like this, just to pick a handful here. 5 in Newton Falls, 5 in Salem, 5 in East Liverpool, 4.5 in Greenville. I live in Boardman. I've got about 5 on the ground at my house in Boardman, and Canfield, kind of the same thing. Now, how cold it gets tonight will be very dependent on cloud cover. We've got a mostly calm wind. We've got a fresh blanket of snow on the ground. If the sky can clear, it's going to get really cold tonight. Now, looks like we're going to have some clouds for a handful of hours this evening. This enhanced infrared satellite view, by the way, GO-16, that beautiful high-resolution satellite that's been offline for a couple of weeks while it repositions in its permanent home, is back today with data flowing. So this is from that high-res satellite. It's now in its permanent spot in space and will be officially operational in the coming days. And we look forward to enjoying GO-16 permanently now. And this green color here, that's the cloudiness. The blue is the cold ground, pretty much. But where you see green and yellow on this, that's cloud cover. If we can lose some of these high clouds overnight tonight, temperatures are really going to drop quickly. Now, when I recorded this a little before 7:30, it was down to 17 in Boardman and already 12 in Columbiana, 19 Berlin Center, 17 Cortland, 18 Sandy Lake. I think we've got a shot at some single digits overnight tonight, maybe even 5 or 6 if you get enough clearing overnight tonight. Big picture for tomorrow, some stats for you here. 26 our forecast tomorrow, that is 10 below the average. Records are 2 and 65. I think that 2 is safe at the airport. 9 hours, 14 minutes of daylight as we approach our shortest day of the year coming up in a week. And if December ended today, which of course it does not, it would be the 45th snowiest and 47th warmest. We're up to over 10 inches of snow now at the airport so far through the first, what's today, the 14th? So yeah, 2 weeks of the month. We're up to 10 inches or so worth of snow. Got a little more snow coming our way tomorrow. Trough of low pressure, that's that dashed black line, kind of a weak cold front really. It's going to spark some snow showers tomorrow afternoon, starting maybe 1, 2 o'clock. This can make things a little slick for rush hour tomorrow afternoon. In fact, with a boundary kind of hanging out and kind of lingering across the region into Friday night and into at least the first half of the day on Saturday, we could see some snow showers continuing until at least lunchtime on Saturday. Now, by Sunday, a warm front's going to be lifting north, and while it's not exactly warm in the wake of the front, we'll get above freezing. And as this moisture approaches from the south and west, we might get into kind of a rain-snow mix, a light rain-snow mix late Sunday. Might be warm enough for some liquid precipitation. Pardon me. Hour-by-hour snow chance breakdown on Friday. Highest chances starting around mid-afternoon and taking us into parts of the evening as well. Now, this isn't going to be a big storm, but I am concerned about the roads getting a little bit slick. And here's a look at our computer modeling. through Saturday night. Now, this is all based mostly on a 10-to-1 snow to liquid ratio. The ratios with our snow showers will be higher than this, so you can add a little bit to what the models are showing. Generally, what they're saying, though, is in the Friday part of this, through 7 p.m. Friday, half an inch, maybe up to an inch is a possibility. Could add a little more to it Friday night into Saturday. The European model is especially bullish on the snow lingering into parts of Saturday. It's a tough forecast. There's not a lot of a great model agreement. If the European model is right, that these snow showers try to linger into a good chunk of Saturday, we could end up with a few inches out of this. That's kind of an outlier right now, but I don't want to rule it out. I can't discount that completely. The European model is, has a good track record. It often is wrong, but it's wrong probably less often than our other models on average. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Right now, we're leaning towards the no big deal idea for the snow tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, into Saturday morning. But someone could try to get a couple or a few inches out of this if everything works out right. All right, let's talk about the longer range a little bit here. I'm going to do I'm going to do a blog this evening on ericwfmj.com, a written blog about Christmas weather, chances for a white Christmas, historical odds, that sort of thing. So you can look for that coming up here this evening. I've got time this evening because we have football tonight, which means we'll be on late on one more Thursday night. In the meantime, before Christmas, next week, a little ridge is going to poke into the eastern U.S., and so it's not going to be that cold next week. Not particularly stormy either, especially snow-wise. We might see liquid precipitation two more times. So we'll go closer to Christmas. This is next weekend. Here's Christmas Eve, Sunday. And this, to me, looks like mischief somewhere. You've got cold air up here in Canada. You've got a storm over the southwestern U.S., which is probably ejecting energy out into the middle of the country. And you've got a ridge off the coast of Florida, pumping warmth up the east coast, cold air out here. There's going to be a battle zone between the warmth and the cold and the storm, somewhere in here. And it might be us, it might not be, but there's probably going to be some stormy weather as we go close to Christmas from parts of the Plain States into parts of the Midwest and maybe as far east as us. A little too early for details, but this is a pattern that is fairly ripe for some winter mischief somewhere. When you have a storm coming out of the southwest, we sometimes call these panhandle hooks coming out of the panhandle of Texas. That's on the table for Christmas Eve and perhaps into Christmas Day as well. Looking ahead to the longer range, on Thursday evenings we get a fresh batch of long-range modeling from the European Center. It's showing some warmth, of course, centered over the southeast around Christmas, and then a turn towards somewhat colder weather as we go towards New Year's. And it may stay pretty chilly into the first of the year, but some of the longer range modeling is starting to paint a mildish picture for January as a whole, particularly east of the Rockies. This is the second week of January, but watch by the third week of January. Boom. The cold air tends to disappear. And there's been some run-to-run consistency on this idea that starting around the 10th to 15th of January, we might get into a milder pattern. Maybe a stormy pattern, though. Kind of a wet signal here on the European modeling, especially from the southern plains on north and east. This would suggest that the east coast is fairly dry, but storms coming out like this could make for a stormy period. Maybe not a real cold one, but a stormy period as we head into the new year. So more updates on that as we get closer to January, of course. Tomorrow will be the last edition of Weather for Weather Geeks until after Christmas. I'm off next week through Christmas Day. So we'll do this again tomorrow evening and then take a little respite from these videos for about 10 days as I get ready for the holiday. Hope you have a great Thursday night. Join me tonight on 21 News after the football game. And again, on my blog, ericwfmj.com, I'll have a blog post about Christmas weather, historical odds of white Christmas, and a little more on that potentially stormy pattern this year for Christmas.